follow up on, or I say something that that I need to, that I think's really good and I might use elsewhere at different times. There you go. Where are we? Entire screen. And this is good that actually this is all working how it should. Even since COVID, pretty much. Is that coming through to you now? There we go. It will be in a
Yep.
second. Yep. So maybe rather than having a look at this audit first, let's show you the. I was talking about the model before, that, which is this that I sent through. So effectively, what I was talking about, and our model where we use, your website, it looks fantastic, and I sort of suggest to everybody to put all their content on their website, so that somebody like me can share that content in bite-sized pieces.
Yep.
Through to the social media channels, which includes your Google Map, but predominantly is these social media networking channels
Yep.
down here, with the intent and a call to action to get them back to the website to learn more and inquire.
Yep.
So in a
Okay.
nutshell, that's the strategy. Have your
Yep.
content on the website, whether that's, about us, the services we offer, review, testimony, potentially, could be, blogs. Grab those, and share them back here, so that then people will come back. Now, you might do, from an advertising perspective, that might be an overview type animated or video type post that then we're driving at, we might spend $5 a day, is what we usually suggest as a starting point, just so we can kind of see that it does what it should do. But that's
Yep.
the intent, is basically share it to the feeds, get them from the feed back to the website. And so
Yep.
you then, have them all sitting as how you can contact us, opening to new. I'm sure it sounds like you've got a good web person by the sounds of things. You have access to your own website. Do you have a web person that helps you?
The web hosting, if I need updates, I send it to them
Yeah.
and they sort
So
out.
long as they can. So realistically, you've probably got a couple already. I'll have another look, but yeah, realistically, we just make sure that those. It just helps integrate everything, right? So that all your, so that if we're posting through the feeds, and then you've got that as a connection, we don't want
Yep.
it to be a window away. We want it sort of to be a social proofing thing, and when people click on here, and that includes having your phone number and your email, so same sort of thing realistically, but it means
Yep.
if they do happen to click on it, it'll open in a new tab and they can go and see what's being posted and all that sort of stuff, right? So,
Yep.
but anyway, so that's the model, is really that centerpiece, is
Yep.
basically what we do. Where social media marketing sort of sits within everything is I typically, when I realistically, if I was to use the full term as a marketer, what we're really doing is social media marketing communications.
Yep.
I'm not talking to you about your pricing or where you should operate out of, or
Yep.
even your branding, that side of things. Realistically, I can often give some. I must admit, it can highlight either good and bad at times with certain people that we've worked with, and sometimes I can give some input around that, but the reality is it's around the communications, in other words, the posting. And there's all sorts of other things that no doubt you've done and are doing, and we mentioned networking, email marketing, it could be flyer drops, whatever it might well be, but social media marketing is clearly, or communications is clearly part of that. And when I talk about promotion, that's paid stuff. So that's that $5 a day or whatever, we look at spending on Facebook
Yep.
advertising. Yeah. Um,
Yep.
when in terms of, you would have heard of content marketing. Content marketing. When I talk about content marketing, for me, that's just the images and the words that we use. We know that typically, we're in a what's in it for me generation. It's about you and your, rather than necessarily we and our, so
Yep.
with our posting and our website copywriting. I really liked your imagery. And so that's going to be a really important, and usually that would be clean. So I imagine you've got a library of some of the, you seem to have had some photos taken of you,
Yep.
and maybe some, even with you and what look like
People. Yep.
clients opposite you.
Yep.
They're ideal for me. So,
Yep.
and they become the staple of the things I often post, as the pictures and imagery.
Right. Yep.
So usually having a good few dozen of those sort of images. How many, and even those ones where you're standing in Yarraville, those sort of images are really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I have most of those. I mean, I have all of those.
Yep.
And I've probably got, uh, yeah, I'm just, yeah, there's a fair few of them. We're probably talking, yeah, probably 40 or
Oh,
30 or
brilliant.
40.
Well, certainly for the period that we're doing it, and realistically understanding as well that people often have this sense that I've posted that picture before.
Yeah.
Realistically, if you're posting the same picture 3 months ago, no one other than the person that's posting is going to know that, right? Because no
Yeah.
one's scrolling down Facebook pages or Instagram feeds to see whether you've used that picture or video before, right? So,
Yeah.
so yeah, that sounds like a really good library, and from what I can tell. There's a good mix of where you sort of are the hero a little bit, the hero in Yarra, and even Yarraville is the hero, but also there's a good sense of the type of person that you sort of, you know, whether it's a mum and dad or it's a,
Yeah.
someone that looks like, I don't know if you've got any bald headed blokes in there, but realistically, that you can get a bit of a sense that Rob helps people like me. That's kind
Yeah.
of what you want to get with your um, yeah, so then with any, again, this is sort of more marketing stuff, but often, what makes you unique? You got a local offering. What was your background before? So in terms of coming in, and that's possibly on your about, but before then running a
I
business,
was in banking with NAB for 10 years, and then I was doing a bit of property development on my own
right? Yep,
before I started this.
yep. And then the offer is just being a really competitive mortgage broker. I imagine that your offer is competitive to most others, and
Yeah.
and just knowing who it is that we're trying to target in terms of particularly around advertising. When we sort of do the Facebook stuff, it's often a radius of how old are they looking to purchase a new home, or are they looking to invest, that sort of stuff. So it's just
Yeah.
understanding, and I'm sure you well understand that when we look at that side of things. But yeah, so realistically, as I said, and then a lot of the other stuff is probably what you were thinking. What most businesses just call business is like, what's your day to day, the way you operate, as a business, and what's the strategy. And we just sort of fall in line with that to make sure that we're doing that as best we can from a social media perspective. As I said, we do make sure that you are the best possible representative of your business when we sort of go through your LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn company is created. I'll double check on terms of you've probably done that. We do kind of, if you've got ones that you've looked at and think, okay, they do it really well, I'd like to do it um, as well and or better than what they're doing. It's rare that most will be doing it across the board as well as what you'll be doing it.
Yeah.
But as I said, it's always good to have in mind someone that you think does it quite well, and that you kind of would like to be doing it, as I said, as well or
Yeah.
better. Um, and then just so that's that side of things in terms of where we sit from a online presence. It's kind of when we're advertising again, it's realizing that your current customers or the people that you've helped in the past, well, that's again who your prospects probably look similar to them. So we just
Yeah.
target those same sort of ones. What a lot of people probably do realize, but maybe don't realize around Facebook advertising is the only area where Facebook is kind of generous nowadays. The organic algorithm is pretty lousy. So you can have a following of 500 people, but over a month, you still may only get 100 or 200 people seeing your posts.
Yeah.
But as soon as you spend $1, so I mentioned that sort of $5 a day spend, it doesn't really matter what business you're in. As soon as you spend that $5 a day, and we use a split where we go for awareness. So in other words, get as many people seeing it as possible, and
Yeah.
traffic is usually the two we split it between. So we might do $2 awareness, $3 traffic, or the other way around initially. And the idea is getting as many Facebook and Instagram feeds as possible. Instagram,
Yeah.
it's only when you're advertising that you get a call to action on an Instagram post.
Yeah.
So effectively, we want to see it and we want them to click through. And so once you do that, even with a $5 a day spend, you go from, as I said, a few hundred people maybe seeing an organic post to having, we sort of say, I actually have to change it. It's probably around right. So 10,000 to 15,000 is about right, depending on how we sort of split the spend.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of eyeballs, right, on a post ongoing, and it's
Yeah.
and it's then about, and then you get in the hundreds clicking through. And we use a little pixel that goes behind the website that helps us measure that to sort of see and know what is actually happening in terms of traffic side of things as well.
Yep.
So that's that side
Okay.
of things. Yep.
Yep.
And then like any good marketing, well, in your case, it's the spend goes on the through the grant and that side of things. Any ad campaign would be by you that goes straight to Mark Zuckerberg. Um,
Yep.
but then you can kind of measure that even from your just a pure social media marketing perspective. So normally, that content setup and planning is about $1,000, and the management is about similar for the first 3 months, and then the ad campaign is, as I said, $5 a day is about, what's that, 150 a month. So then you'd
Yep.
kind of be wanting to sort of say, well, okay, how is this? What's this creating for me? Is it creating the
Yep.
interest that I'm hoping to achieve? Anyway,
Yep.
so yeah, does that make any sense? Any questions around that sort of model?
No, that's good. So because I sort of, when I started the business, I sort of started the posting and all that sort of stuff. And
Yeah.
like everyone, I dropped off because the organic growth is pretty small, obviously. And then I just didn't have the experience to set up the campaigns, and then would have just been dropping money without being able to monitor it and being able to get the sort of cost benefit.
Yep.
So that's why I'm sort of looking for this piece, is to basically set that up correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that I know that I'm spending on my ad campaign, then that's getting the results that I want. So that's where I'm coming from. So this fits in with that really well.
That's great. And as I said, so you'll be well set up. You'll have it because you own it. You own it all effectively. You'll have good overview of all, how it's been set up, but also what the objectives are and what the strategy is, and even around the posting schedule, what that all looks like. And then realistically, whether you then pick that up at the end of the period and run it yourself, or I continue. It's up to you, but realistically, you'll certainly have all the tools to be able to do that. So just very quickly, as I said, just to sort of put some points around what this looked like. This is the screenshot that I took. I was actually really surprised when you put in your village mortgage, that you didn't have sponsors sitting up above you. That really, that's very unusual for a mortgage broker business, right? So that's why I was sort of saying that's good naming and really fortunate.
Yep.
Yeah. So can see that you have your Google business sitting here, which is, as I said, that puts you straight away in the top 20%er, I would almost say. Not too many people have set it up. Sometimes Google have set it up for people if they've got the offices. But even the fact that you've connected your profiles down here is quite impressive. I don't know that you were posting through there, but we'll be doing that. So the same posts that are going through will actually be going through your map. So your updates will actually be going through your Google profile as well.
Right.
Which is helpful. It all sort of helps working together. You've got your reviews, which is great because it means that, one post of the week could actually be one of those reviews that we actually just put across all your socials. As I said, I can sort of, well, I usually do like a little animated thing, which with likes coming up, and it just basically, as a firm home buyer, Rob, as my mortgage broker, was a great experience. And then you put the person's name, and it just looks, it's a nice little way of having an animated tile going across all your socials. And you've got 14. You're probably already using the link to actually get that from the clients you've had, I imagine. So but I'll make sure that you know what that is, and so that's that side of things. Actually, the other interesting thing is your website, and then it really was your Facebook and Instagram, which was actually the next thing. So even though it's a relatively recent thing, it's pretty much your socials have taken the place of so back in the day, brokers' pages, directories would be the thing, right? But now socials are the thing. So your LinkedIn even is the next one again. So you can see, and often it can be a post. It's not necessarily always the page. So that I've had businesses where it can be a random tweet, for instance, and that actually plays out, or a YouTube video, or whatever it might well be. So you can see that already socials you'll only sort of build layers upon that. So you'll have a really strong naming presence for this brand and this name.
Yeah.
which is actually really strong considering that's you as an individual. That's a real positive, right? So that's why I
Yeah.
was saying you probably will have something that is in the future, should you choose to do it, um, um, licensable or leasable. I
Yep.
don't know if I finished saying, but up until about the end of 2019, I went through that process. I actually went through a whole franchise program in 2019,
Yep.
and then 2020 hit, and I'm like, oh, actually, I'm not going to franchise. I'll just employ. And so I actually engage marketers around the country using my
Yep.
systemized approach. But I finished up working out, other than the fact that I lost them very quickly because it was like shining a spotlight on them, and they finished up getting work in other digital agencies and different things. But uh, the end story was the financials didn't work out. I realized I had a good consulting business, but not
Yep.
necessarily a good franchisable business. But it was a good exercise in systemizing and all that side of things. So yeah, so I really like the way you've set up the website, as I said. So typically in websites, we've been taught, and your marketing company might have said this to you, we've been taught to read them top left, down, and up, right? So effectively, it's in your name what you do, so that's good,
Yep.
good positioning, right? And then you've almost got your just do it sort of description of, but we see the big. I really like it. So for me, there's really nice bite-sized chunks that I can take, whether it's homepage, what you do, why how you do it, about you.
Yep.
That's all the information I'm grabbing and then sharing across the feeds on a sort of week to week basis.
Yep.
Yeah, I never get, and in a website like yours, I won't ever really get stuck for content Monday, Wednesday, Friday to be posting. And you won't have to give me that. When we go through the planning session, we'll just
Yep.
confirm how do we want to roll it out from a sort of helicopter view,
Yep.
that's that side of things. And as I said, even testimonies, which we can grab from the Google business as well. Um, I I would almost, yeah. So again, for me, from a I think I have my personal belief. As soon as we on social media and social media feeds, as soon as we overly brand things in terms of
Yep.
colors over top of that, it almost starts to reek of. It can look professional, but it also reeks of, oh, they probably want something from me.
Right.
So I like to use clean pictures, maybe with a
Yep.
watermark. So we just
Yep.
have the watermark of the little Y maybe on the picture, and that way it's there, but it's not overly
Yep.
present. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, I would probably suggest this would be almost a hero with a bit of branding and a Yarraville type picture maybe behind you here, using
Yep.
one of your images. We'll update this slightly just in terms of uh, yeah. There's some things we'll talk through, but again, you're sort of more advanced than many in terms of what and how you've set up so far. But there's some things we can do to sort of up it a little bit, which as I said, I'll give you my input. You can take it, you can leave it, but effectively, we'll go through that process in terms of what just it's even along the operating. I would actually say in here, which is what is the business? It's actually
Yep.
your village. You are the owner director of that business, and there,
Yep.
like you said, if I should have known around that National Australia Bank. My first ever job was in what became National Australia Bank back in the late 80s. So yeah, prior to going back and studying sport and rec. So yeah, same sort of thing here. Almost here with this one, you could reverse it. You basically you've got the icon, which is great, but you could almost have that picture of you where you're actually standing in Yarraville.
Yep.
Yeah. So and again, we just make sure we go through all your about wording and your details as well. Just make sure that's up about, and we'll be posting through here. I don't think you've been posting through your LinkedIn.
Yeah. I haven't.
Um, very similar here. So again, these are, as you said, probably when you were working through the branding. But what we want to do is really take advantage of the fact that ultimately we know people are going to like Rob and want to do business with Rob, and so we're going to bring you and your client and your prospect imagery really into it, right? So
Yep.
that's going to be important. So these types of things, I'll use a little bit of this, but they'd be a 1 in 3. I often use these sort of real type ones when I'm doing testimony.
Yep.
As I said, I think, and or the promoted one, but not too heavy.
Yeah.
As I said, it doesn't
Yeah,
need to be.
I get what you mean with the when you see it, you just think business
You,
and
you, imme- you immediately think it looks professional, but it's almost what we expect of a NAB. It's
yeah,
not what we expect of Rob and your local
yeah,
village.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a good point.
And
Yeah,
so this sort of image, though, is perfect
yeah,
because, oh, yeah, guy maybe in his 40s being helped by a guy, so often we attract, dare I say it, who we are, right? So
yeah,
gender and people, who knows why, but yeah, I can tell you that over the journey, I've typically attracted a, mid 40s thinning. No, no, but yeah, you get my point anyway. But yeah,
yeah,
so the funny thing is, well, not the funny thing, but the reality is where those sorts of images work best is actually Instagram. Just
yeah,
because Instagram is the only one where we don't typically read the post.
yeah. Okay.
So that's why at times it is good to have one or two, a fortnight or whatever the case might be. Um, but as I said, on all the other platforms, it just looks salesy.
Yeah,
But it's not to say that if you use it on Instagram, where you're using the real imagery, where you lose too much. Because realistically, if you're just using this image, you'll probably get just as many people liking it because you've already got your logo visible usually on the post. Yeah, it's probably just this, are you self-employed, which whether or not people are going to read it's almost that first line of the image, because again, people aren't coming to your Instagram profile to read it. They're actually seeing it in the feed, and they're
yeah,
usually seeing the first line when they're seeing it. So long as are you self-employed is in the first line of your Instagram, then they're still going to see it.
yeah,
And certainly when we're promoting it, which is where we know we're going to, then realistically it's going to have the core detail. The great thing about your business is, as I said, it's the naming of the business is so suitable to, as I said, that sort of local social or that local area marketing, and
yeah,
particularly from a socials perspective. So yeah, so it's um, dare I say it, a lot of freelance social media use still, because it's the easiest. If you're not using a scheduler platform, the
yeah,
easiest platform to use is Meta itself, and you just schedule, or you use Instagram itself. And so what you'll see, it's very noticeable when people are using freelancers, is because they won't actually even have links in their Instagram posts.
right.
So they'll post back to Facebook, but there'll be no link for me to get more information, or even no contact details often, because they're thinking like a late 20 or 30 something instead
Yeah,
of thinking like a marketer, if that makes
okay.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because, and as I said, and then if you overuse hashtags, most 40 somethings will look at 10 hashtags and go, what the hell's going on here?
yeah,
Which used to be something you would do 10 years ago, but is really not that advantageous nowadays. In fact, there could be a knock on too many hashtags. Um,
hmm,
I would create an X for you just because X is a good way of placing you. Do you
yeah.
follow a footy team by any chance?
No, not really.
No.
No.
Do you have a sport or hobby, recreation, interests?
Not too much. No, no.
No. Oh, there you go.
No, not really.
What about the family? Well, travel must be one of them. So
Yeah,
travel is something.
family and travel. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
It's just, as I said, so just by way of example, it's quite easy to find everybody else that's on X from Yarraville, whether
yeah,
it's Yarraville Football Club, Yarraville Sun Pictures, so then by connecting with them,
yeah.
then there is a mortgage broker that they have some association. And the
Right.
strategy is as simple as, if we connect with Sun Pictures, there's some chance that Sun Pictures will connect with us.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
by association, it makes us stronger.
yeah,
Yarraville Traders Association,
yeah. I'm
all
a
the
member of
traders that
that.
are on
Yeah,
Yarraville Traders Association. That's not just for X, but
yeah,
clearly X is one of those ones where, in fact, I'd almost say only 20% of businesses might even be on X, but often business owners and or identities are on X more so. And X is
yeah,
very good for real time what's happening,
yeah,
so that's my sense anyway. And then you've mentioned the fact you've got your Google My Business. There's just a couple of things, largely probably around posting through. I couldn't find a YouTube channel, I don't think. Did you have a YouTube channel?
I think I've set one up, but there is nothing on it. So
Yeah, no, that's okay. So we'll just make sure that yeah, it's often quite hard to find, as you said, if you haven't then landed something on it yet. But we'll make sure that's set up with its own brand name, and then it does become quite a good, because it's a Google product. It's quite a good searchable
yeah,
identity to have. And again, it's one of those ones you'll put at the top of your website, so that I imagine you will do maybe in time some video potentially.
yeah, potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think quite often that they don't look very good. So
Particularly when you, as you said, when they're done. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. If they're done sort of talk to camera and again they can appear slightly salesy, but anyway, but even those animations that I can create, even as
yeah,
shorts, they can actually be put on there at times as well. So,
yeah,
um, so we've talked about that side of things. So yeah, what we're realistically going to work through again is just protecting the brand and building equity. So on that online presence, it's differentiating you from other mortgage brokers. The reality is most won't have the full sort of 5 setup and posted through.
yeah,
So it'll, as I said, give you the that setup as well as then a train track around what the posting schedule look like. You were mentioning before in terms of, so the strategy is two parts. So the people that follow you clearly, and the benefit of the every second day posting is to stay top of mind with those ones. Now, again, we already know the organic on certain platforms, Facebook and Instagram, isn't high, but it's still high enough that they're still going to probably see a post every month or two,
yeah,
you know, if they're following. And certain ones, if they're the mega fans, if they're your closer networks or ones you've done work with and they've
yeah,
engaged with it before, then clearly they're going to see it more often than others, your referral partners, those sort of ones, right?
yeah,
But yeah, so it's that sort of, it's the constant reinforcement to the people that are likely to have already used you, know of you, or have heard of you. So
yeah,
that's the benefit of the constant posting. And then clearly when we're advertising, it's to get to those people that haven't heard of you yet, and it's targeting those other ones. And so that's where ultimately we want them, whether they're people that have done business with you before or heard of you before, or whether the people that we're promoting to, is that we want them to get to the website and inquire and get in
yeah,
touch with you. So ultimately, they're not going to, Steve Hubbard's not going to sell it. Rob Farley-Odgers is going to be the one that's speaking to them, educating them, and closing them.
okay,
Realistically, that's the
yeah,
reality.
yeah,
So yeah, so we create those or revise those ones that you've already done. We have a planning session around what the rollout looks like in terms of posting. We use the platforms that we've mentioned. Would you want to set up a TikTok as well?
I guess if it's needed, yeah.
We
If it's
can.
easy, yeah, as long as it's easy. I'm sure you've got a platform or something that
Yeah.
you might be
Well,
able
the
to get
only
one
thing
right.
with
So,
TikTok is that TikTok, um, it the platform that we use now is called Publer, and we can post to it when it's a non-moving picture, but the reality is the organic reach on anything to TikTok where nothing's happening is pretty
yeah,
minimal, right? So what I've found though is, as I said, if you've got a review and I've put it in an animated where I've got likes coming through,
yeah,
then at least I can post through it. So we'll set it up because it's not hard to set up. Some people don't want to set it up because they'd rather give all their data to the US rather than give it to China. But the reality is TikTok's promoting just the same way as what Google does nowadays through all the global mechanisms. But yeah, it's a fairly straightforward. Yeah, just to add it, and then when I do have any moving images, they're probably the ones I put up, or even when I don't, we can post to there. Under
yeah,
normal circumstances, it would make a slight difference to. So all of the, so I put you on this professional platform called Publer. In fact, I've got it open here. Um, so this Publer platform, I'll probably not use mine. It's probably not the best example. Let's use AGR technology. So all we're doing with them, or sorry, what we do with them is we basically uh, put all your social accounts in there. So in other words, he hasn't got TikTok, but what he has got is Threads. So
Yeah.
that's which is a, sort of an extension of Instagram, where you can sort of have the link, and then basically what we're doing is then we just schedule the post. Um, so this whether it's published or maybe, and so that's the thing. So you can actually go into the Publer and you can see what's upcoming. So in actual
All right.
fact, in his case, there is some reviews going through on Thursday, I think, and then next Monday talks about logo and graphic design. But effectively, we use Publer. We can add TikTok in there, um, and then you can decide. All I'd say is you maybe decide whether you'd keep it if we were to going beyond, because whether or not it's worth the $5 a month paid to send things through to TikTok. Um, so that's that side of things. Realistically, the audit and consult, that's really what we're sort of going through and what we've talked about already today.
Yep.
Um, and then what the grant covers is this that 5 hour session that we book in. Now,
Right.
whether you do that as a you probably spend a bit of time on computer. Maybe somebody like yourself could find it with a break. A 3 + 2 hour day would probably be beneficial, depending on how your work timing normally works out.
Yep.
So you can do that in a day, or you can split that into 2 half days. Effectively, do, as I said, it's a 3 hour + 2 hour session where we're going back through all your socials, getting me on them and putting them into Publer, and
Yep.
then we do the planning session, which is how do we grow in terms of connecting with others. How do we set up the Facebook Ads Manager so that we're ready to promote a post or posts, and what's the week to week schedule look like? So that's what the
Yep.
planning session is, and then pretty much once we've done those sessions, within a day or two, I can be them start posting.
Yep.
So, so just that's probably the next steps. Really, is just to work out um, your availability over the next week or two to actually, as I said, do that as a full day or do that as 2 half days.
Yep. Sure.
Yeah,
Okay. That's excellent. That all sounds really clear. That's
yeah.
great.
No, that's good. No, it's exciting. As I said, particularly with your business and the way you've really got such a well branded, and with your imagery, I feel like I can just really add give you some exponentials
Yep.
rather than with many businesses that I'm getting, whether they're established or startup. You're you're starting from a lot lower base. I think that's fair to
Yep.
say. Yeah, so it's
Okay.
really good. So it's yeah. So I could
Excellent.
probably stop sharing that screen now. There we go. Yeah, but yeah. So well done. So that's good. It'll be good. So it's just a matter really now for you, if you maybe have a look at your diary,
Yep.
and with the, because it sounds like you've got the school holidays requirements as well. But yeah, let me
Yep.
know when suits. You don't have to do that right this second, but or you could have a look at the calendar and come back to me.
All right. We'll do.
Yeah, that's probably the
And
best bet.
yep. That's great. I'll come back to you soon because
Leave it at that. Yeah,
yep.
and I
Yep.
will come and have a coffee with you perhaps as well.
Yep. Awesome. All right.
Yeah, so
Excellent. All
all
right.
good.
Great. Well, thanks for that, Steve.
No
I'll
worries.
come back to you with the dates and we can go from there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
usually I think I might have put it on something, but yeah, usually
You got a calendar?
yeah, usually at the moment with the calendar I put in there just my short timings
Oh,
around
right.
the quarter and the half. But often, if there's availability, you can sort of see that there's availability, sort of a few in a row, so you can at least check whether that's
Yep.
gonna fit. But I can tell
Sure.
you that sort of Tuesday through Friday is usually best, and in fact, Tuesday Thursdays are often best. If I'm going in order of priorities, but the only
Sure.
real day that I can't do it is Mondays. So Mondays
Yep.
is sort of my keep free to do all my scheduling for existing clients day.
That's all right. Monday's my deal with every client that
Yeah.
is quiet over the weekend. So it's
Yeah,
always
good. Yeah, I
busy.
think that's the case for a lot of us. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's good.
good.
Well,
All
really
right.
good to meet you. And
Yep.
what I'll do is actually, even I've got to do it for the others too. Is even while we're sort of working out what the date is, I send you a checklist of what we'll go through. So
Yep.
I'll do that in the next 24 hours or so. I'll put that through, so you've actually got that in Basecamp.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I,
So
and
I'm
I see
ready.
you've already. So Basecamp is just a good way of keeping a track of client information, so that I know what's been shared. And really, whenever you just reply to emails, if it's come from Basecamp, it just puts it in the Basecamp thread. I don't know if you've seen Basecamp before or something similar,
Yep.
but it
No, I
just
haven't.
helps me manage projects so that I don't lose track of what I'm doing and how we're doing it. But yeah, with those sessions, there's a checklist that we sort of go through. You don't have to feel like there's anything that you'll need to do before that. Um, you've already told me that you've got some imagery, so I think that's the main thing that realistically. And having had a look at it just make sure that it gives you a sense of what we're going to work through on those days. That's all.
Yep. Okay.
Cool.
Excellent. Cheers.
On you,
Nice
Rob.
to meet you.
All right. Well, have a
Thanks.
great rest of the day, and we'll speak